Now, the next order of the day is really to learn how to unpack our tuples, right? So when we have a tuple, right, let's say we have, let me call it point. Now we are saying something like point because let's picture it as some coordinates. You understand? You never know the types of applications that you end up working on. At the end of the day, programming is just tool for you to use. Yes, even though we are making examples, we are trying to find use cases where all of these that we are learning will apply. See? So let's say we are working with some coordinates like this, and then we want to do something with each of the individual uh, components. You understand? So with something like this, when we say unpacking, we just want to break the components of this tuple into variables. So you need 4 as its own separate variable, and then we need 2 as its own separate variable. So simply we can just say x and then y is equal to, and then we see point. Now we are pointing to the variable itself, the container, because it evaluates to this. You understand? So when we say xy is equal to point, we have just done an assignment over here. Understand? So for this side, it doesn't really matter what is here. These are like variables, they can change. So we just want to set the contents of our points, our coordinates to x and then y. Now to verify, let's simply go down here and then print. Let me print x and then print, let me see y. So I'm going to run. Good. And then you can see that in order, we were able to have x as 4 and then y as 2. Very, very simple. Now again, let's look at another use case, you understand? So say we are working with the colors on the color wheel, right? So we have RGB. So let's see our first position is 255. Let me see what I remember. 128. And let's just say 16. It might not be real, but let's just say 16. Good. And I want to unpack this tuple. In our first example, we went for the variables in the form of x and then y. And now we can go for the variables in the form of R, G, B. And then we say is equal to, and then now we can do our assignment. Now, again, when I write equal to RGB like this, it's just the same thing as me going to write this all over again. If I wanted to do it like that, I wouldn't have the variable in the first place. This variable makes this a whole lot simpler. This variable consists of just 3 characters, RGB. This consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12, even if we are counting the white spaces. So once again, we just have to go ahead to verify. Let's print. Let's print R. Yes, and now let me be lazy. I'm a programmer. And then we can just change this to J. And then we can just change this to B. Now we run. Good. And then we can see that our R is 255, our J is 128, and our B is 16 accordingly. So now let's assume that I wanted to ignore some values, you understand? So for example, you could see that the 16 was really guesswork. I couldn't really remember, right? And let's say I wanted to ignore it. So, okay, I think I need to comment this out too. So in the assignment itself, in the reassignment itself, I'll say something like R, G, and then when it gets to the thing, I'll just put an underscore and I'll say equal to, and hopefully that works. Let me just say R, G, B. Now, let's copy, and now let's print out only our R and then our G over here. Let me get rid of the comments. So when I run this, you can see that we have our 255, we have our 128, but we have ignored the last one. We have ignored for the B. Now let's change the position and also do the same thing. So let's say we want the B, or we want to ignore the G. Just put an underscore, and now we print out the B. Now I'm going to run. And then you can see that we have the values like that again without any problems or whatsoever. So that's about it for unpacking tuples.